So in the last session, right, we had discussed about the Kubernetes namespace, and we discussed about the taint, right? Like we can apply a taint onto any node, right? So we went through like a lot of commands, execution and all, and even the configuration also we checked, right? So that was the thing which we had covered in the last session, correct? So today, what we are going to do today is in today's session we are going to start. Today is day 7, day 8, right? Day 8 session. So what we are going to do today, we are going to understand about the Kubernetes labels and Kubernetes resource quota and limit range. This is what we'll be covering today. So these are a very small topics, but we will cover it. Now, if you understand through the diagrammatic format of what is a Kubernetes label, you know very well now that in the Kubernetes cluster we have a master and we have a worker nodes, correct? So if you take this Kubernetes cluster, we have a master node and we have something like a worker one. I don't think I'll draw some worker nodes, worker 2 and worker 3, worker 3, worker 4, worker 5 and worker 6. So we have 6 worker nodes. So this is a master node. This is worker 1 or worker node 1, worker node 2, worker node 3, worker node 4, worker node 5 and worker node 5 and worker node 6. Correct? So this is nothing but your Kubernetes cluster. We know this very well.
Sir, Rajesh sir, can you please increase some font, sir? It will be 10 only. Very small font size.
Oh, this one, now?
Yes, sir, yes, sir. Letters.
Yeah. I'll increase.
Little bit. Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you.
Now, what is happening is actually that, okay, how to increase the font actually? Wait. Not this one.
No, while creating, you need to take big one. I think there is no here paint. There is no increase or decrease.
Yeah, there 10 available. No, I think that one you keep it.
Yeah.
That 12 and okay, sir. Thank you.
Okay, fine.
Okay, so we have this Kubernetes cluster, correct? Now, what is happening is that what is Kubernetes label actually? Kubernetes labels. Very important topic. Okay, and the same thing. Some of the questions will be asked even in this, with the label concept also. Now, suppose for example, suppose you say that Rajesh, if I execute some command, like if I create some pods, kubectl, okay, run dev-server -fn image is equal to nginx. Right? And also if you execute the command run prod-server -fn image is equal to nginx. Now if you execute these commands in the command line, your Kubernetes master is going to create 2 pods, with the one with the name dev server, other with the prod-server, correct? But what master will do, master can create this pod in any of the free worker node, right? Do you agree with me, right? It can create, because all these are worker nodes, and based on that is what the scheduler will decide. The master, in the master we have a scheduler, right? Scheduler node. That scheduler will decide where after, in which node I have to schedule it, right? So here what happened, we don't have any control over the pod being created in any of the worker node. So, but what happened, right? Assume that actually, like you say that, Rajesh, I want the pod to be created only in the worker node 1 itself. Okay. Or else you say that, okay, all these are, suppose assume that these nodes are HDD, sir. These nodes is having a HDD hard disk actually. HDD hard disk. You know, right? There are a lot of disk drives, right? You have a HDD, you have a SDD. This is not for a SATA disk drive, SDD, right? SDD ID is there. ID was very older. ID disk drive, HDD, SDD. STD is actually faster than the HDD actually. Now assume that suppose you are trying to create an image where you want to run a pod actually with the image of Jenkins. Same thing, like assume that. You said that, Rajesh, if I say kubectl run, okay, app hyphen server hyphen image is equal to Jenkins slash Jenkins. This is the image name you give actually, right? If you give like this, what happens, right? As you know, the master can create this Jenkins anywhere. But what happens if this image it will get deployed as a container in pod in any of the HDD, in any of the worker where there is a HDD drive, this Jenkins might not be working very faster. So you know very well that out of all the 6 nodes, actually, the 6th node is having an SDD. So can you say that, Rajesh, if I run this kubectl run app server Nginx, can this pod which has a Jenkins container running, can we schedule it over here in the worker node 6 because there is a SDD? Yes, it is possible if you have a label actually. Suppose assume that here something, you set a label. What is label? Label is nothing but the key and value pair. If I say node equal to something SDD, as a label I set, and here if I pass that label over here while running any of the pod, so this particular pod will get scheduled over in the worker node. So this is one use case actually. Okay, so it means that actually you can schedule any number of any number of pod to be scheduled in a particular node. Then you have to set a label actually. Okay, you have to set a label. Now we know very well in the last session we had created the namespaces, right? What is namespace? Namespace is but it's an isolation, right? That's what we discussed, right? Like we had created some namespace. Suppose assume that actually you have some namespace, something like with some name as a project. Suppose this is a namespace of project 1. This is a namespace of project 2. Project 2. The code of project 2. And this is the project 3. These are namespaces actually. Now you know that even though if you create a namespace and even though if you create any number of pods running even in this namespace also, even what happened, these pods will get created in the nodes only, right? It will not get created in only one particular node, right? Correct. Suppose if I create a namespace, you know, right? Being in the namespace is namespace, it's like isolation you created, but it doesn't mean that it will just created in only one node, right? It doesn't it doesn't work out like that, right? So even though you are choosing like for example, while same thing, suppose assume that same command kubectl run dev server hyphen nginx space, here if you give hyphen n project 1, same thing here also hyphen 1 project 1. Like this, if you give the namespace while running a pod or while creating a pod, it doesn't mean that it's going to create in particular node. Even here also it get distributed in any of the free working node, right? But that pod will be in that particular namespace, correct? Correct. So only person who has an access to that namespace, he can only check which are all the pods which are running it. That's what as I said, right? There are some security things which they will enable it, and finally they'll create some in that particular namespace. So now what is happening that now the challenge comes, he said that Rajesh, even though I am in particular namespace, I don't want to get created my pod in any of all the worker nodes. Some particular node has to get in only for some particular node. I have to set it. So what happened, right? You have enabled the label. You can even bind the label to a namespace. So this is very important, sir. You can even bind a label. For example, here I have this one. You say that Rajesh, I will add this to worker 2 I will make this to be binded to the project one namespace. Similarly, worker 3 and worker 4, you say that actually that I can bind this worker 3 and worker 4 node to this project 2 namespace. So what it means, sir? So when you can bind it, prior that actually you are set a label. With the help of a label, you can actually bind to a particular namespace, so that you are selecting, you're making a group of some nodes and you are assigning to that particular name, so that whenever any pods are getting created in this project 1 namespace, those pods will be created either in worker 1 or worker 2, not in other nodes. So this is very useful, because here, even though you are creating a namespace, again within the namespace you can even select the particular node where you have to run the particular pod section. So this is a very useful feature, right? Where we can actually right. Similarly, I think okay. What happened? Similarly, so you can actually group like this the nodes to the particular namespace. Clear, sir? So that's how the stuff of what is a label actually. Now we are going to see practically like how to create the labels, how to play with the labels and all. We'll see. Okay, so conceptually you understood, right, guys? What I'm trying to tell you, that you can, whenever you want to run particular pods, you can actually set a label and you can specify the label while running a pod itself, so that that particular pod will get created in that particular node itself. Earlier, what happened? It used to get scattered anywhere. It used to get scheduled anywhere because of the master node. Now you are instructing to the master itself that it shouldn't schedule any of the working node. It has to be scheduled into a particular node. To do that, you have to set a label. Okay? Clear, sir? Now practically means no. So if we see the practicals, you will understand in a better way. Okay? Now, so let me do this. Let me log on to the master node. So this is my master node, and we know very well that if we execute the kubectl get nodes, we could see that the worker and worker 2 nodes are available, right? So let me check if any of the pods are running. Kubectl get pods, no other pods are running. Let me even check what are all the namespaces I have. Get namespace. This we already know how to check a namespace. So here you could see that we don't have any other namespace apart from the systems namespace, right? These are all systems namespace, and these are default space namespace, which is provided by your Kubernetes itself. So we don't have anything. Everything is fine over here, right? Now what I will do? Let me do one thing, sir. I have a worker 1 and worker 2. For worker and worker 2, I will set a label actually. So what I will do? I will set kubectl label. Node you have to specify, and it is worker 1, correct? Here what you have to give that I want to set the label for the worker 1. What the label I'll set? I'll just say something like node is equal to worker 1 itself. So you have set the label again, kubectl label node. Let me set for the worker 2 node as worker 2 itself. Okay, guys. So now what is happening is that you have set the label now. If you want to check actually how you can check whether the label is set or not, we can execute kubectl describe node and specify the worker 1. So what I will do, I'll set kubectl describe node worker one, I will say pipe it to less. Now, if you come here, if you see here, see this output. If you see here, see the labels, you already set the label as node is equal to worker one. This is something key and a value pair. Here, sir, you can give anything. It's not like you should always give node is equal to worker one. You can something you say that you can something say like label is equal to node one, label is equal to node two. Anything you can set, but here I'm just giving this node is equal to worker one, node is equal to worker two, like that. Similarly, if you give kubectl describe node and say worker two, now you could see that if you go up, you could see the label it has been already set as a worker. There are some other labels are there. These are all the default labels which is provided by the system itself. Okay, to the node, but I am creating my own label by specifying with the kubectl label command. Right? We are using this command, right? Kubectl label command. Correct? Now what I will do is I'll do one thing. Now I want to I will do one thing. Now I will create a YAML file. In that YAML file, I will specify that my pod has to run in the particular node which has a particular label. Like for example, if you say that Rajesh, you have already set the label here, right? You already set the label here. What is the label you have set here for the worker one? You have set the label as node is equal to worker one. Correct? Similarly, here also you have set that node is equal to worker two. Correct? Now you are saying that Rajesh, I want to create a pod where it has to run in the worker one node, worker one label. So whichever node which is having assigned as a worker one label, please schedule that pod to be created here. So now I can use this, I can use this label and I can instruct my master to create a particular pod in that node. So to do that, what I will do, I will just simply write one, sorry, one YAML file I'll write. Okay. So this we already set it. So now let me do one thing. Let me create something like what is it? Pod one, pod1.yaml file. Okay. So we know that actually in whenever you write any YAML, actually it should having a 3 hyphen. It should have always have a 3 hyphen. It says that it is a starting of your YAML file, and here we use API version. Okay. Always we have to use v1, and we have to use kind, and we have to say pod. Means what kind of you are creating a pod, that's what, and metadata. Okay. So what I have to do that here, the syntax is always when you say metadata, here you have to give two spaces and you have to give name. What's the name you give? Something like I'll give something like a dev-server, something. Some name you can give. And after that, you can create a spec actually. You have to create a spec. And inside the spec actually you have to again give two spaces, and there is one object by name containers. And here what I'm doing that here, because it is an array type actually, so always for the array it should always have two space. Okay, here from here you have to start with a hyphen, and then you have to get two space 1 2, and you have to say image colon engines, some image. Okay, and then what is the name actually? Name, same thing, I'll use dev-server. And because I have to set a label, to set the label actually there is one more one more object is there by name node selector actually. Node selector, and here you have to you have to give two space, and you have to say node equals what is the label worker one. So these are simple YAML files, sir. Okay, so how we can actually basically understand this way, this one, what you have to do, right? Whenever you're writing a YAML file, first what you have to do, you have to go to the Google and then say Kubernetes API reference. Okay, now what is happening is that API reference you have to give. Here what is happening is that you have to go to the reference first page. Here you have one page reference Kubernetes, one page API reference for Kubernetes. You have to click on this, sir. So to click on this here, what happened, right? You have to, because we are creating a pod, right? You have to go to the pod section here, pod v1 code. Now you could see that actually, whenever I'm writing a pod, always the pod start with the 3 hyphen. That is, you have to put it. And afterwards, see the structure. See what are the fields you have. You have API version, you have a kind, you have a metadata, you have a spec, and you have a status, written status. These are the 4 fields you have actually. Now what is happening is that now you say that, okay, Rajesh, I want to write. Now what is happening is, see API version. You have to put colon. So what is a version over here? See V1. V1 is a version. So you have to put V1. We can even put like this, sir. In some books or in some places, how they will say, how they will write means they will write like this also. Core /V1 they will write like this. But because V1 falls under the group core itself, if you don't mention also, it is still V1 only. Means it is core only, core V1 only. So like that, there is not required to mention as a core active, just mention V1. So even though it falls under group core, because most of the APIs, as I said, REST API falls under main core category, group category with a V1 version. If you say V1, it means that it is in the core itself. So that's what you need not to explicitly mention core /V1. You can just mention V1. Now after that, what is happening that you have a kind. What is a kind? See here, pod. See, kind pod. And after that, you're having a metadata. Metadata, it is on off. It is having an object meta. Now, what is an object meta? If you click over here and if you do a right click, because it's a lot of people will be accessing this page, it will be little slow. So you have to wait for some time to get loaded. Actually, you could see now that object meta. You could see that object meta. This one, right? If you come down, what are the fields it has? See, it has annotations, it has cluster name, it has a creation timestamps. No doubt we'll be using all these things in the upcoming classes. It has a deletion grace period, deletion timestamp, okay, finalizer. Okay, I'm not interested this much. I'm interested in the namespace, in the name actually. So if you see it over here, what I've did, I have given the name here. Okay, fine, that is one thing. And if you see it very carefully, sir, actually,
Rajesh, there is a delay in your video actually.
Yeah.
what about, how about now, guys?
Yeah, now it's okay, Rajesh. But initially we are facing some.
Yeah, I understand. I can understand that even when I watch my own video I recorded, I could see a lot of delay in between. Actually, we can't do it because we are using Skype now, so free version we are using. So that's what we will plan for going for other things like GoToMeeting or Zoom. We will try to do that. Paid version will go with that. Okay.
Thanks, Rajesh.
Yeah. So now what is happening is that, see, you have many things under the metadata actually. Okay. But very important thing is that in the metadata are that one is a name. If you require, you can specify the namespace, or you can leave it. You can even set the labels also here. Okay. And one more important thing here over here is nothing but is your image actually. It's the image. No, that is sorry. That is what I was explaining. No, sorry. Metadata. I'm sorry. I'm talking about metadata. In metadata, basically, what is happening that you can you can put the name and you can put the namespace. So what I did here in the metadata section, I've just put the name here. I've not mentioned any namespace over. So I don't want to use any namespace. That is fine. Other things and all right. You can leave it later. You can check it out. Like for example, annotation, cluster name, creation. We will see later. So what we are doing, right, under the metadata object here, under the metadata, I'm only putting the name actually. So name, what is the name? So I'm putting the pod name as Dave-server. Fine, okay. After that, you are having a spec actually. Here you could see that spec. Okay, fine. And what is the type? It is but it's a pod spec. The spec has a pod spec specification. So I'll do one thing. I'll try to open this. So as I said, it will take some time to load, but it's a pod spec actually. Now under the pod spec here, under this spec here, what are the fields you have? These are all the fields are actually. These are all the fields are there. See, so many fields are there. See, affinity is there, active deadline is there, containers are there and all. But which is the most important thing? One most important thing is containers. But container is of a type container array. So for the container array, what you have to do, right? You have to mention the container colon. Next line, always array will always start with the hyphen. Array, whenever the type is array, it should always start with. That's what I said. Say hyphen. I give two space and then what is happening that if you go to the container array, see, I'll do a right click here. I have did a right click on container array. In the it has an arg, it has a command, okay, it has a env, okay, environment variable. Later we'll see how to pass environment variable. Environment from, it is from the file. Oh, I have an image. See, hyphen image. What is the image you're using? I'm using Nginx. Okay, fine. What other things you have? Oh, I can put to specify the name. Oh, name. So I'm putting the same name as day one file server. In the same spec, actually, in the same spec, you can even see something like a node selector. See, come down, or else I think it is already the readiness probe is there and all. We will see later. Okay, see, liveness probe is also there. Node selector. Where is node selector? I think I missed it somewhere. Node selector, node selector. Yesterday, terminate, volume mount. What is this, sir? How come? Yeah, wait. I think we went over there. Actually, we should check in our pod spec, right? Because in the pod spec, actually, hold a second, sir. Container, correct. R command image. So we went to the port. Okay. Went to the port. We are having a container port. Container port is an array actually. Okay. So this is Spectre. So it will be a part of the container. Not this one. Container port. Okay. Container port. Okay. Not container port. Sorry, I'm sorry. Containers. Sure. Where is the container, sir? Containers. Containers. Let me go from the beginning. Spec is there. Okay. Let me close this. So we have a spec actually. Inside the spec we have a pod spec, and inside the top pod spec you have to allow it to load. Inside the top pod spec you have a container, you have a DNS, and here we have enable ephemeral host ID. What is the init container nodes? This is the node selector, sir. Sorry, I should have checked in a pod spec, because what is happening, right? Here what happened, right? See, it is falling under the same this one. Wherever you have under the spec, you have a container. So inside the container, we went and we had mentioned that this is the image in the name. Again, what is happening that the node selector should come over here. That's what he said, that after the under the pod spec itself, what you have to do, that we selected what we selected. We selected the container, right? And the same container come down, right? You have a node selector. So that's how you have to understand. It needs little practice to do it. Once you start doing it right, it will become very easy. It will be very easy. So node selector, what you have to do, the node selector is selected which must be true for the pod to fit a node. Selector should be there like that and all. If you still have any doubts, no, you can still, again, you can copy this. It's a doc actually, and then you can get it. You will get some information over here. That's an important node. Here, how to node selector. See, here they have given an example actually. See, for example, node selector. See, disk type SDT. See,
Rajesh, it seems your video, I mean, stuck or something.
what
Yeah,
about on?
yeah, now it is fine. Can you come again from starting? Like, can you tell the steps?
See, for example, now what I did, right? Now I have to write a YAML file or manifest file. Suppose I have written a very simple file itself. Or else I do one thing, sir. I will take you to this one. The first itself, I will take it. You know, the first class, we had written this YAML file. You remember, right?
Yeah.
Correct. Now, I see. I will just go through how I have written. So I do know. I need not to remember everything, sir. I can answer it myself. Prior that, I know how to find. First, what I have to do is that actually, first, let me close all these things. Okay. First, what you have to do that you have to go to the Google. You have to say Kubernetes API reference. So you have to click on here. Here you have to go with the one-page API reference for Kubernetes. You have to go like this. Here what happened that you have all the API groups, plus here you have all the different resources, how you can build a resource. So for that, suppose you say that Rajesh, I want to create a pod, I want to write a pod. How can I have to run a pod, or I want to create a pod? To do that, I have to write a manifest file. So how I can write a manifest file? I have to go to the pod v1 code. Click on here. Now, if you click on over here, it says that actually that it is the pod belongs to a group code and it has a version v1 and a kind is pod. And here, these are all the fields which are there. It means that whenever you want to write a pod, actually, you have to use all these fields: API version, kind, metadata, spec, and status. Status, we can ignore it now because we have to get the written status of when you run the pod. But these are the four important fields: API version, kind, metadata, spec. You could see that API version, kind, metadata, and the spec. Okay, sir. Okay. Now
Yes,
what? Yeah. Now what you have did here is that actually API version. See, always whenever you write a YAML file, always you have to use 3 hyphens. So it states that this is the beginning of your from here your YAML file is begin. Okay. And after that, what you're doing that you have putting API version. You have to say API version. What is a type of the API version? See, if you have a version, what is a type? What is a version? It is V1. See, you have to use V1. After that, you have a kind. Okay, kind. You have to write. What is a type? Kind is pod. Now you could see that actually, suppose for example, you have a replica set. I'm just giving an example. Let me open the replica set. Whenever you write a replica set, same thing you will write -FN API version. See, -FN API version. See, you have V1, you will write V1. Kind, you will write kind, but here it is kind is a replica set. See, you have to write here replica set. Like this. So whenever you are implementing replica set, obviously the kind will be replica set. Similarly, whenever you are writing replica set controller, what would be the type? See, the type is replication controller. So here you have to use replication controller whenever we are implementing the replica controller. We are not coming to this. We will see it later. So what I'm trying to tell you here is that actually whatever the kind you have, right, that you have to put it over here. Same thing, kind, pod. After that, what is it? Next, we have a metadata. Okay, metadata I have put colon. And what are the object types within the metadata? Because what are the fields or what is the object type I have to implement? You have to say that, let me open this object meta. It is of a type object meta. What object meta it has? See, now object meta, it has various fields, sir. It has various fields. See, cluster name, annotation, cluster name, creation time, and all. Okay, there are so many things there. Now, right now, I'm not worried about all these things. I'm worried about the name actually. See, I have to put the name, colon. What is the pod name you have to give? I'm giving something like a hello pod. Okay. After that, what I'm doing, I'm assigning some label. It's your wish. If you can assign the label, you can assign the label, or else you can, if you want to leave it, you can leave it. So label, I'm just putting app colon. This is some key and value. Here I can say Rajesh colon Singh. I can put anything. It's a key and it's a value. Okay, so that's what he say, that map the string key and value that can be used to organize and categorize, scope and select object. Must read the selector, right? If you want more information, you can go over here. That's what he says. You can go like this actually. You can still, you will understand more about that. Okay. Now, okay, fine. Apart from this two in the metadata, there are some other important things. One is a namespace actually, which we'll always put. Here in this case, I have not put. Okay, fine. And after that, what happened? What are the other things you have? You have a labels which I put name string, and then you can even use annotations, where I will show you later what is annotations. Okay, so these are some of the important things. Later you might see even this also, many fields you can. So now our metadata section is over. In the metadata section, most of the time you will always be putting a name. Name means this will be a pod name, sir. Means after creating, if you apply now, whatever the pod will get created, it will get created with this name. Clear? Okay. After that, coming back here, okay, metadata is over. Now the important things which comes in any section is a spec actually. You have to write spec colon. Okay, fine, sir. Now what happened? Let me remove this all these things. Now what you say that Rajesh, what is the spec of the object pod spec? Okay, these are the objects. So object means you might be having some fields actually. So now click on here. Now these are the pod specs, sir. It means that under the pod, under the spec, what are the different fields are there? You have active deadline, okay, affinity, we will see later. What is atomic service token? We will see later. Important is container. Oh, it means that basically I want to create a container, right? Oh, this is one of the important fields. So come back to here. So what is it? Spec, I will say 2 spaces I'll give. I'll say container. See, you have to same thing, containers. It should, so containers colon. But here, container, it is an array type actually. So whenever you're using array type, always array will always start after container colon, you have to give enter. From here, you have to give 2 spaces, and always array will always start with a hyphen. And then what are the things which has a container array? If you click on over here, so it looks little difficult or tricky at the beginning, but I will tell you that take it from me that if you practice for a few days now, it will be very easy for you to understand, and you will write your own YAML file always. You will not depend upon any of the any other code, not reusable code. You will not be able to, you will not see it. You will only always write your own code itself. Right now, what you have to do, it is contains of a type. It is of an array. Okay, let me check what are the things it has. See, container, it's an array type. Okay, under the container you have an arc. Okay, I'll see later. We have a command. Okay, I have an environment variable. If you want to pass an environment from me, suppose you have environment in the file itself. I want to use. You have an image actually. Image is there. Image put policy, life cycle, liveness probe, name, ports, blah blah blah. So many things are there. So these are some of the important fields of your container actually, right? Because the container is of a type array. Okay. Now here, clicking here, I went here. Now what is happening? Now I have to see what I have used here. And under the container, okay, first I have used a name. See, where is the name actually? Here, there is a name is there. Sorry, I think I came here, name. So name, colon. Okay, container name you have to put, I have to put in the web. Okay, fine. After that, you see that image is there. See, image. In the next line space, you have to align in the same line, image, colon. What is the image you want to pull from your Docker hub? Oh, I have to pull the Nginx image. So that's what I'm saying, image Nginx. Okay, fine. So this two is over. Image is over and name is over. What else other things I have? Oh, I need a port also, sir. I need to know, right? My Nginx is running in which port actually. So port, see, here I have mentioned port. Again, port is an array type actually. Now again, what happened? Right click here, open this container. See? Container port. Okay. Now it will take some time, but it gets loaded. Okay. Container port. So what are the container port it has? See, it has a container port. It has a host IP, host name, name, protocol. So this is what I need, sir. Container port, because it is an array, right? You have seen this is an array. Now what happened, right? After the port actually, colon, you have to give 2 spaces here. Start with the hyphen, because array will always start the hyphen space. What is it you are using here? Oh, first let me define. So let me define the name. Oh, name. Again, I'm using the same web name. Okay, fine. After that, you see container port. Okay, container port. Oh, what is the under which port it is running. If it is an Nginx, it is always running the port number 80. If it is HTTP, it always runs the HTTP. Suppose assume that your image is a MySQL, sir. MySQL. What is the port, sir? Your MySQL uses the port number. It uses the port number 3306. Correct? See, if you go to the Google, just say MySQL port number. Is it? Same thing you have to use here. But still, because I'm using Nginx actually, or HTTP or Nginx will always work in a port number 80. Okay, fine, good, sir. After that, what I have? See, port number I used, name I used, protocol. Okay, I am using a TCP, UDP, or HTTP, or what protocol? HTTP. Oh, I'm using TCP. See, protocol. TCP. So, was it very difficult to understand?
No, Rajesh. No.
So now writing a manifest file, YAML file is only that you have to first start with your API reference page. Now one by one you have to go through. It is little painstaking at the beginning. Sir, I will tell you my story that I was feeling very difficult to understand at the very beginning. Now after practicing for some more than 1.5 months now I have become very, very comfortable in understanding any spec file or any YAML file. Anybody, you show me any big YAML file, I will understand how it is going on. It will take some time. You have to practice every day, then you will get to know very easily. It is not that difficult. So now what is happening that this we have written it fine. Now coming back to because I have to show the label, right? So what I have used, same thing. I'll go through it here. We'll try to understand with the same thing. Okay, I'll again close all these things. No worries. Again, I'll go to the google.com, and now I have to implement the labels. So I'll say Kubernetes API reference. But today, if we are not able to cover the resource quota limits, also it is fine. You don't have to worry it. But this is a very important thing which you have to understand while writing them, because moving forward now, what are the things you are learning, like jobs, replica set, replica controller, node code, cluster IP, any huge concept we have to learn, right? We have to write a YAML file now. YAML file, what is happening that when you see the YAML file, you should be able to see here. I have written so many YAML files. See, I have written this YAML file. I have written this YAML file. Correct. I have written many YAML files like this. You have to understand now whatever I have written, right? You have to understand everything. See, the kind is a limit range. See, like this. Here the kind is pod, like that. See, here resource quota. You have to understand everything now. Correct.
Okay.
So to know that, actually you should understand how to write a YAML file. Now what I'm doing, I want to set a label now. So to set a label, same thing. What I have to do that? I have to go to the API reference. Again, I have to go to the one page API reference. This you have to go through it. Here, because I want to implement the labels, and the label comes under the pod itself actually. So you have to go to the pod. Okay. Same thing. Here, what I have did that I have used 3-, fine, okay. API version, okay. API version is nothing but it is a V1, fine. I use the same. As I said earlier, we can even use the core/V1, but since this is not required of putting core actually, because we know V1 will always fall under the core category, core group. So you can ignore that core and you can just mention core. Okay. Now after that, what is happening that API version kind is what? It is a pod type. Okay, pod. Metadata. Okay, fine, metadata. So in the metadata, I'll go to the object meta, and here in the object meta, it will take some time to load. Don't worry, wait patiently. Open this object meta. See, you have to say object meta. See, object meta. Okay, come down. What are the fields you have? You have many important fields, sir. For me, I see very important is a name.
Rajesh, sorry to interrupt
Yes.
you. Any network issue is there from your end? Today we are seeing, lag too much compared to other days.
Maybe, sir. I don't know. Maybe it could be a network issue. Yes.
Okay.
But actually, I'm sitting in very near to the Wi-Fi because of network problem. But
Okay.
Yeah, did you understood all the things whatever I am trying to tell?
Yeah. You understand
Any
me?
doubts, guys? If you have any doubts, let me know.
Sure, Rajesh.
Okay. Now what? So yeah, after that you have a metadata. Under the metadata, you have opened the meta object type. Meta object. That's what object meta. Right? Object meta. Under here, what happened? Right? There are a lot of fields are there, but for me important is a name. Okay, that is what name I have put, name colon, I have put the pod name, that's something like Dave server. After that I can even put the UID. What is this all important? Namespace also I can put, but I'm not mentioning the namespace. I want to run this pod under the default namespace. That's what. And after that I have to put the label. So I'm not putting the label over here. That is also fine. Okay, with only one field, it's okay for me for metadata. Okay, now coming back to here again, I put the spec actually. Spec is of objects pod spec actually. So I have to say spec colon. Okay, let me go to the object spec object. So it is loading up. Sorry, pod spec. It is loading. Okay, now yeah, pod spec actually what happened right here? We have some important fields actually. Almost all these fields are very important. Sir. All this you could see that in many of the further future classes, I'll be using init container. I'll be using something like a host IPC. Sometime I'll be using this field affinity. I'll be using containers anyway. We will be using. So this is very important. So you can understand that. Okay, Rajesh, under the spec, what are things coming? There it lies a important thing. So there we have to more concentrate. That's what we will think actually. So now pod spec actually, what I'm doing right, I am just trying to understand initially about the containers, because over here the container, what are the containers you want to display, you have to write under the container. So I have to write here whatever it is there, container, same thing I have to use container, give two space, containers colon, and then it is of a array type. So click on here, do right click and open it. So it's a container array type. And now you understood that always whenever it's an array type, what you have to do that, you have to come over here. Okay, you can even start from here, or even you can give two spaces like this. See here. See. See. Container, you can even give two spaces like this, and you have to start with the hyphen. Now here what is happening is that, where is it, sir? Sorry. Yeah. Container array. So this container array, it's an array type. So you have to give two space over here, and you have to give hyphen, and then you have to say what are the other things you have. You have an arg, you have a command, environment, something blah blah blah. So many things are there, but I'm very much worried. No, I'm very much worried about this name. So I have to put the name over here. Okay, fine. And apart from that, what are the things you have? An image actually. I have to put the image of Nginx. Clear, sir? After that, what is happening? That because we are mentioning about the label here, and the label, if you come over here, actually, if you come over here, you have something known as a node selector. Where it comes under your pod spec itself. It means that under the pod spec itself, here itself, under the spec itself, here it will come. Under the pod spec itself, it will come. That's what it is same. It's the same level of container, because here you see from here what happened. What I did, I went to the container, and within the container again I went to the container array here. But if you come down after the container, you have something known as a node selector. So under the node selector, what you are doing here, under the node selector, I'm giving that key and the value. Like that's all. Right? Now I will save this. Right? So I have a simple pod 1.yaml. Correct? So now what I will do that, I will try to, now what is happening that you are trying to tell that please run this Nginx container in the pod, inside the pod, in the worker one node only, where there's a label of worker one. Correct, sir? Already we know that we have already set a label. What we set a label? See, kubectl label worker node is equal to worker 1. See, node is equal to 1. See, I'm not using, I'm using the same key and value, right? See here. Okay. So now what will happen that what I will do, I have a file now, pod1 dot, I'll say kubectl fly -f pod1 dot. Now it is getting created. When you say kubectl get pods, it is running. Where it is running? See, if I do -o wide, see, it is running in the worker 1 only. See, you have made explicitly to run your pod under the worker 1. Similarly, if I do a vi pod1.yaml, suppose that I want to run, but this time I want to run one more image in the worker 2. Okay. Worker 2, and this should be something like a prod. The name should be prod. Okay. Name only I have changed. That's all. Okay. And here also, let me change the name also here also.
Just a quick question.
Yes, sir.
Can we add like multiple selectors, like multiple condition you can put and select?
Yeah, we can put multiple conditions. Yes.
Okay.
If you want to do that actually, then what is happening that in the pod you have to mention this. Yes. Tables like this.
Okay. No, okay, this is node, right?
Environment.
So what is my thought is, for suppose I want to select a node, like two conditions, like which has just like example as you told, which has SSD as well as some other RAM display,
Correct.
something like that.
Correct. Yeah, that's what you can set it over here. Environment is equal to what? Like production environment, prod environment, right?
Okay.
Okay. Team. Okay. Team.
So this,
Who is the production team like this?
so these
Here what
are
happened now? These are all the labels.
for node itself, for node, for these labels for nodes or node also different.
Yeah. See what is happening that yes, node only. What is happening that this is the worker 2. Worker 2 is assigned to the worker 2, but still you are assigning some more labels here.
Okay.
So you can actually do a condition, right? Like for example, in the when the show label, you can say that it should be a prod, it should be a production team, and it should be, and then only it is to run like that. Like that, you can mention it.
Okay.
That and all. See, I'm not telling many other things actually. I'm telling you a very, very simple thing. Later, I will tell you some more extractor things. I'll be keep adding it.
Okay, Rajesh. Okay, got
Like
it.
that. Okay. So here, okay, fine. Okay. Okay. Where I was, yeah. Here, spec, this, everything. Same thing, sir. I'll save this file. Now what I will do, already kubectl get pods. It says, again, I'll take kubectl apply -f pod1.yaml. If I'm able to apply or not, yes, we're able to apply it. kubectl get pods. Okay, so if you do a wide actually, -o wide, you can make out that see, this pod is running under the worker 1 and this pod is running in the worker 2. So you're explicitly making a pod to one in the particular node based on the label actually. Where are you using the label? You are using the label in the spec itself. You are using a node selector. Here you are making it to run under the worker 2 node. Worker 2 label, whichever node which is having a worker 2 as a label, it will try to schedule that pod to run actually like that. Okay. Now what is happening is that actually now the things come to actually, now assume that actually Rajesh, I have created a workspace actually. Now for example, you have created a workspace. Assume that same diagram. If you go to the diagrammatic format, I have something like project 1 and project 2. Suppose two namespace I have. What you will say is that because here in my system I am having only 2 working nodes. So what I will do that I will assign one workspace for the worker 1 and one more workspace, namespace as worker 2 and one more namespace as worker 3. For example, project 1 namespace I'll assign to the worker 1 and project 2 namespace I will assign to the worker2 node. How to assign it actually? So that is what it is. Now what I will do that I will take kubectl. Let me first delete it all, whatever I have. Okay, kubectl delete pods -fn all. I removed all the pods. Now all the pods have been removed. Fine. Now what I will do, I'll create a namespace. kubectl create namespace as something like project1. Okay. Similarly, I'll create one more namespace. Now the thing is like, see, suppose what I will do, no? Let's see, kubectl run something app server -fn image is equal to nginx, correct? And then I'll say that Rajesh run in a namespace project1. So it is running. Now we'll do one more pod I will create with something like prod-server. Same thing under the project1. Again, one more I will take. What is it? dev-server. Now, if you say kubectl get pods and specify the namespace as project1, and if I say -o wide, here all your pods are running, but you could see that the pods have been distributed in worker1 as well as worker2. Correct? Correct. Do you agree with me, sir?
Yes, Rajesh.
Now what you said that Rajesh, okay, that is fine, but what happened? I have a namespace of project1, but my namespace of project1 should only all the pods which have been running under the project1 namespace, it should always get created in the worker1 only. It should not get scheduled in worker2. Only in worker1 node only. Worker1 node only it has to get scheduled. So now you understood the problematic, right? Now you understood the problem, right? Or it means that whatever the pods which are creating on the project1 namespace, it should only get created on the worker1 only. When it comes to the project2 namespace, only it should run in the worker2 only. It should means the pod should get created only in the worker2, not in worker1. So how to do that? It means that basically, if you go to the diagrammatic format, you need to bind the namespace with a label. This is very, very important question. They'll ask you, sir, can you bind the namespace with the label? Yes, you can do it. How to do that? Okay. Now let me go. Let me first remove everything, all the pods actually, just to show you I created kubectl delete pods -all, and I have created all those pods under the namespace project1. Right? Okay. Now let me see what are the namespace I have. kubectl get namespace. We already created two namespace, but two namespaces, right? Project1 and project2, right? See, I have project1, project2. Okay, sir, I have two namespace. Now even I have a label also. 1 second, sir. kubectl get nodes. I think there's some command is there. -show -labels. It will show the label also. Yes, here it is showing the label. See, for the worker1, it is showing the label as worker1. For the worker2 node, it is showing the worker2 as well. So this way also you can check the labels actually. Okay. So now what you are saying that okay, namespace one, namespace project1 has to be bind to the worker1 label. Project2 namespace has to be bind to the worker2. Okay. To do that, how we have to do means. So what I have to do that actually, basically to do that actually, first you have to just to see carefully. So what I'm doing, etc. You have to go to the Kubernetes, and here you have a manifest file. Correct. Under the manifest file, you have something like kube API server.yaml. First open this file. Here what happened? If you come over here, you can see one field over there -fn enable admission -plugin node restriction is there, right? What you have to do here, you have to give colon, comma, sorry, and you have to say pod node selector. SELECTO or something. No. SELECTO. So you have to add this, sir. Pod node selector. P should be capital, N should be capital, S should be capital. It is important. It is case sensitive, right? So it should be a pod selector. Okay. Then save this file. Now, whenever you are doing any changes to the manifest file, right? What happens usually? Sometime your Kubernetes will go down. See, it will go down. It will take some time, but it will come up because you are changing the configuration of the Kubernetes itself, right? So to make it effect, what happened, right? It will try to restart the whole Kubernetes master. So it will take time. So I'll do one thing. I will put a watch here. So, see, it will take time, but ultimately it will come up. So what we did, sir, basically under the etc Kubernetes, under that there is a directory known as a manifest directory. Under that directory, you had one file with the name cube-api server.yaml. Correct? Under that, you in one of the field actually you added at the end code node. Sir, now it has come up, right? Okay, great. So it has come up now. kubectl get nodes. If you give, it has come up now. So what I did, let me show one more time. Under the cube API server YAML file, open this file. You could see that under this field, you have added at the end you have added the port selector. Fine. After that, you have saved the file and that's all. Now, after that, what is happening is that actually you have to edit your namespace, sir. Actually, edit your namespace. So, what is the namespace you have? You have a namespace of project 1 and project 2, right? Right. What you will do is say kubectl edit namespace as project 1. That open this file. Here, what is happening is that under the metadata, after the name, or even anywhere, sir, here also after the metadata. So what I will do, I will write ANNO annotations two spaces scheduler dot alpha dot kubernetes dot to slash node hyphen selector what is it, sir? I have to put colon. Let's put colon node equals worker 1. Here, sir, I have to say this because I'm binding the namespace project 1 to your worker 1 node where there is a label worker 1. Save this file. Save. After that, again, kubectl for the project 2 namespace, same thing. Project 2. Same thing here. Come here. What is it? Annotation. Give two spaces. Scheduler dot alpha dot kubernetes dot io slash node hyphen selector colon node equals worker 2. Yes, sir. Now the thing is that here it doesn't save, sir. Actually, it doesn't save if they have did any mistakes. So assume that after the scheduler, assume that instead of dot, mistakenly you have put colon. Just I'm telling you for information. Okay. Now you try to save this file. It will not save the file. See, it will show that there's some issues there in your file. Clear, sir? So that's the reason what happened, right? If you open it, then you have to go and you have to change it from colon to dot. Now you know that there's a mistake there. Then you save the file. Then it will save it. Here. So whenever you're doing any mistake in the syntax, it will not allow you to save at all. So now what happened, right? You in your namespace you have binded the label. Now in the namespace you have binded the label. Now you do one thing. Now what you will do? You will say that kubectl run app-server. Sorry, app-server. What is it? -fn image is equal to nginx -n namespace project one. So same thing. Save-server. Prod-server. Similarly, for the project 2, prod-server, anything. The server, oh, sorry, a small case, huh? Your server, and then DB server. Okay, now you say kubectl get pods -n project 1. Is that similarly kubectl get pods -n project 2 namespace -o wide. See, all these are running under worker 2. See, now what happened? You have binded the namespace to a label where you have scheduled all these pods to run under the worker 2 itself. Otherwise, what happened, right? Even though you had a namespace, all the pods which are getting created in the namespace were scattered between the nodes because you don't had a control, right? Later, what happened? Right? We binded the label. Correct, sir? Is it clear, sir?
Yes, Rajesh.
Yes.
Right. So this is how in the industry it works, sir. Actually, they will try to bind the label along with the namespace. Sir. Now we have to remove everything. How to remove it? Go to the etc. Now our lab is over now. etc. Kubernetes. What else? Manifest. What is that file? Kube-API. Okay, before that, let me remove all the pods. Actually, kubectl delete pods -fn all under the namespace project 1. Okay. Remove all the pods. Same thing, I'm removing the under the project 2. Okay. So now what will happen that I'll go to the etc Kubernetes manifest. Go here, open the kube system, kube API server. Go here, remove this one. Save the file. Once you save the file, you know that actually your Kubernetes will go down for some time. It will go down. After some time, it will come up. It will come up. Okay, wait. Yeah, it has come up now. Okay. So after this, what I have to do? We have to even edit the namespace, right? Let's say kubectl edit namespace and specify the namespace. Come over here. See, you have to remove these 2 lines because we added, right, annotations scheduler. So this is the structure, right? So this is what we did it in our namespace, right? what I have to do? I have to remove this line, remove this line, save the file. So, this is a command actually. So under this one, we have to add it. Similarly, kubectl edit namespace. So come over here, remove these two lines. Save the file. So now everything is done. What else we have to do? We have to remove the label also, right? Because we have set the label for the worker 1 and worker 2, right? So I'll check kubectl label node worker 1. I set the label, right? What I set the label earlier? Node is equal to worker 1. You remember I did like this, right, at the beginning. So now whenever I want to remove the label, means you have to use hyphen. So similarly, kubectl label node worker 2 node hyphen. So even do a describe kubectl describe node and specify worker 1. Just check whether the label is removed or not here. See, label is removed. See, you don't have that label. So this is how, sir, the label works. Okay. So I think we have to start with your resource quota and limit, but I think we will not be able to do it actually because today is already student. But what we started learning or understanding about how to write a YAML file. We have to understand that part. So today we spent some time in that actually. Okay. Moving forward, tomorrow what happened, right? See, like that, whatever written, right? See, if you go to any, sir, you go to the Google and you just say, kubectl, no, anything, Kubernetes pod, what is it? Pod YAML example. You'll get plenty, sir, plenty of example you'll get actually. You in the official Kubernetes, come down, see, they are given the YAML, but you have to understand it. What is metadata? What is spec? What is kind? Same thing. Like for example, Kubernetes replica set YAML example. See, in everywhere, sir, you will get it, sir. Come down. See, you'll get examples. See, what we have to know, what the people will do know, they'll copy paste it and they'll do some changes and write it. But sometimes they will lag understand, because if you start using this API reference, right? If you start doing it, sometimes what happened, right? When while going through, you will know that okay, this also one field is there, or this also one field is there. Through that way, what happened, right? You need not to even remember also. Automatically, you will get to know, okay, under the under this one I have this one, I have a pod spec under this pod. So in that way, you will even get to know better about the other fields also. But whenever if you're doing a copy pasting and copy pasting in the VI, if you open a VI file and copy paste and write it, right? What happened that you have to always depend upon the ready-made only. Ready-made examples only you have to depend upon. So most of the people, what they do know in the industry, they're always copy paste and they will not write the YAML by their own actually. But they can write it by their own actually. It's just a time of practice you have to do. So our intention is to not through going through the copy paste example, but rather than write our own YAML file. We have to only know that, oh, I want to create only replica sets. How to do a replica? I want to create a type of replica set, kind of replica set. Like how I can write it down. I can easily write my own YAML files. That is the intention. This is the best way to learn the Kubernetes, sir. No other way actually. You have to go through a reference kit itself. You have to go through it.
Okay.
Fine, sir. Okay, then chalo. Then today I think we'll stop the recording. Okay. Stop the recording.